This is Chris with Dive Zone Scuba for another technical diving tips, techniques, and trips video. When you're carrying gear like a DSMB and finger spool and perhaps a Wetsuits, you have several choices of how to carry it. So there are some people who just let the gear dangle, but that can cause other problems like entanglement issues, and the DSMB, for example, could unroll itself. Or you could use a waist belt or butt pouch, and there's a video on the channel about how to do that with a plate and a wing. Other people like to use pocket shorts, where you can use the pocket shorts with different exposure suits. And then lastly, it is possible that your exposure suit has pockets on it, or if your exposure suit does not have pockets, you can actually install pockets on your exposure suit. What we're going to talk about in this video is the process of installing a set of pockets on your exposure suit, in this case, a wetsuit. So the first thing we're going to talk about are the pocket selection considerations, and the first topic is going to be the size of the pocket. So pockets come in a large variety of sizes. One company, Excess Scuba, makes a mid-sized pocket, and other companies like Light Monkey and Waterproof make actually very large size pockets. So depending upon what you're planning on having to carry in your pocket, that will dictate the size of the pocket that you're going to choose. Another consideration parameter is the closure design. So some pockets have Velcro closures, and others have zipper closures, and some pockets actually have two pockets, a large Velcroed pocket and then a smaller zipper pocket on the flap. Lastly, there's the inside design. You want to keep things secure, so most pockets have some sort of D-ring on the inside, and there is also frequently some sort of divider that the pocket might have to help you keep organized, so when you pull out one thing, everything else doesn't get pulled out. Of course, those things that you might be concerned about losing, you can put a lanyard on them and then attach them to the D-ring inside the pocket. What we're going to use today is an Excess Scuba glue-on thigh pocket, and these are readily available at reasonable cost. And so this particular pocket comes with not only the pocket, of course, but also a tube of Aqua Seal. And so this particular design pocket utilizes a Velcro closure type system, and it has a tie point, D-ring tie point here, and it also has an internal divider inside to keep things a little bit tidier, to put things in and out of the pocket. There are actually two common methods for installing the pocket on the exposure suit. There's sewing and then there's gluing. I have attempted to sew pockets onto wetsuits in the past, and there are a couple of problems with that. One is it's much more difficult to sew a pocket onto a wetsuit. The second thing is that the act of sewing the pocket on the wetsuit can create a weak point in the neoprene on the wetsuit. And so I've actually had situations where the stitching actually tore out or started damaging the neoprene. So the better method is to glue the pocket onto the exposure suit, or in our case, the wetsuit. And I've done this many times, and I have never had a problem, if you do it properly, of having the pocket come off of the wetsuit. So what we're going to do in this video is glue the pocket onto the wetsuit. So what we're going to need to have in order to do this process is, of course, the exposure suit. In this case, I'll be using a 3mm wetsuit, and we have the pocket, which we've talked about, and we have the glue. This is again included with the pocket, and this is some AquaSeal glue. You also need a flat, relatively hard surface. You can use a DVD box container or a paperback book, and this just happens to be about the right size to insert into the pocket. So what we're going to be using this for is to help distribute the glue. You're also going to need at least 4 2-pound weights, and again these fit right on top of the DVD, so this again is going to help us glue the pocket onto the wetsuit. All right, so these are the things that you're going to need to use in order to glue the wetsuit, the pocket onto the wetsuit. A critical step in the process is positioning the pocket on the wetsuit in the correct location. And the only way that I think that you can successfully do this is by actually putting the wetsuit on, in this case, and marking the correct position that you want the pocket to be in. And so the considerations that you have here are, one is if you're side mounting, you don't want the pocket on the side, you want it more on the front of your leg. Otherwise, what will happen is you'll monopod the side mount tank with anything that's in the pocket. So that's one consideration. Another consideration is that you need to have the pocket here, the top of the pocket, low enough so that it won't interfere with the BCD or a plate in the wing in terms of the access. You don't want to have this stuck underneath your the bottom of your BCD. The third consideration is that you want to be able to take your hand and reach into the bottom of the pocket. So those three things will determine your position on your pocket, and I've already tried this one on, and the approximate position that I'm going to be using is here. It's going to be symmetrically spaced on the gray part, and on the bottom here is where the bottom of the pocket is going to be. So you can do this marking, it's a couple of different ways. One way is with a paint marker or some kind of marker, and so you can put a dot in the corner wherever you want to put it, the ends are. Another way of doing it is to use something like blue tape or duct tape, either one of those things. Now, when you're doing this process, you want to make sure that this is flat, and so you can actually insert something. Sometimes I'll cut a piece of cardboard just the right length to stretch out the wetsuit, because the way the wetsuit is designed, it may have some other fabric down there that prevents the wetsuit from being flat on the surface. So you can, if that's necessary, you can use a piece of cardboard, or you can put a book in there as necessary. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is the next step is I'm going to be taking the glue, and I'm going to be positioning the glue on the outline that would be the back of the pocket here. There's a different type of material. There's like neoprene on the back versus the Cordura type material in the front. And so the neoprene on the neoprene with the AquaSeal does work quite well. So that will be the next step that we're going to be taking. So what I've done here is I've taken my pocket and I have positioned it on the wetsuit, and I have put a marker dot in each of the corners where I'm going to put the adhesive on. And one thing that you need to be aware of is that the pocket top here may fold over, so you don't want the glue to go past this part right here. Otherwise the pocket flap might not work properly. Alright, so you have a choice of taking your AquaSeal and putting it on the back of the pocket or putting it on the wetsuit. I don't specifically know there's one advantage one way or the other. So what we're going to do is we're just going to stick it on the back of the pocket here. And it's very, very important when you're doing this not to try to conserve any of the aqua seal for other purposes. You want to basically use the entire tube up, and I'm going to go around the perimeter here first, and then I'm going to start going across here, a little more there, and I still have a lot of aqua seal. Left in the tube, so I'm going to squirt all this aqua seal out here, as much of it as I can get out of the tube onto my pocket. All right, that's about all of it. You might want to wear a pair of gloves when doing this. Aqua seal is really horrible to get on your hands. They give you a little brush. You can use the brush to even off any really thick spots there. Maybe get it a little bit closer to the edge. But when we press it down, it's going to leak out. Here's one of the cases where you might want to put, if you're really a neat person, you might want to put some blue tape down to not have any glue be exposed. Alright, so I'm going to take this and I'm going to use my dots that I had lined here, and I'm going to stick this thing down on it, making sure that I get a good positioning on it. Whoop. I might have made that dot a little bit too far over. Okay, and I'm going to open up the pocket, and I'm going to press it down here initially, and then I'm going to take my my DVD, and I'm going to stick my DVD in there. And again, you don't have to use a DVD. You could use a book. In order to do that. And we're just using that to help distribute the weight. I'm going to put the 2-pound weights inside now. You could put them in directly without using the DVD, but the weight might not necessarily be distributed as well, as this is kind of an arc. This is kind of an arc on the weight, and that may cause some issues. So we want to get this. In here. All the way. You want to make sure that whatever you do, you're not moving your pocket horribly out of position while you're stuffing anything in. All right, so I've got I've got 4 of these 2-pound weights in there. And checking my position again, it looks pretty good. And I'm just going to close the flap, and I'm going to let this sit here. Now, in reality, it's best to do one side and then the other side, because the way the wetsuit may lay down on the surface, it might cause a problem if you're doing both at the same time. So I think in general it's better to do one side than the other side rather than doing both sides at the same time, but it can be done if you are careful with the way you lay out the wetsuit. So the drying time on this varies. We're not using the accelerant with this. We're just using the regular aqua seal by itself. And so generally I prefer to give approximately 24 hours or so between the time that I apply it and the time that I actually will use it in the water. But I don't think 24 hours is absolutely necessary. That length of time is necessary if it's secure and is working fine before less than that. Okay, so I'm just going to let this sit here for 24 hours or so. Here we have the almost finished
wetsuit pocket, and I can just pull the flap up and take whatever I have in my pocket out or put it back in this case a set of wet notes. And here's also the lanyard in case I want to attach something I don't want to lose. This is almost finished because the corners did not adhere. I didn't have enough adhesive on there, so I'll put additional adhesive on here and then probably use a clamp to hold it on. One of the things you have to do when you install pockets on your wetsuits are you have to get over the fact that your installation may not be perfect. So once you can do that, once you can get over the fear of an imperfect installation, you can go ahead and install the pockets on your wetsuit. The benefits of the wetsuit pocket greatly outweigh any possible risk that you have of making an imperfect installation. So it is well worth attempting and installing a wetsuit pocket on your exposure suit.
This is Chris with Dive Zone Scuba. I hope you found this video helpful, and thanks for watching. Please subscribe.